We all know the story by now. On September 1st, 1939, Hitler invaded Poland, sparking one of the most violent conflicts in history. He was surrounded by many intelligent generals and loyal soldiers who made this all possible. Among them was Reinhard Tristan Eugen Heydrich, who was a high-ranking German SS and police official during the war. However, on the 27th of May 1942, Heydrich fell into a coma and died the following day. However, within the world of Shinza Bansho, Reinhardt would survive and go on to be one of the most important and powerful figures in human history. Reinhardt would help start the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, an organization of powerful sorcerers. Their ultimate goal is to achieve a state of divine enlightenment known as Taikyoku. To realize this ambitious aim, the Knights are dedicated to a ritual called the Transmutation of Gold, a process believed to elevate their leader to a status of a Hadou God, a being who can impose their laws upon the universe. So let's explore the Longinus Dreizehn Orden and analyze what exactly makes them so powerful. The Longinus Dreizehn Orden, often known as the Order of the 13, was a clandestine organization founded in 1939 by Heinrich Himmler, a high-ranking Nazi officer with the obsessive fascination for the occult. Himmler sought to forge an elite group that would combine military might with mysticism, inspired by the ancient Teutonic Knights. Initially, the group was composed of high-ranking SS officers who delved into certain studies, with a focus on magic, alchemy, and dark rituals. The primary goal was to transform the SS into an organization with mystical and supernatural powers, creating a brotherhood of warriors who could control fate itself. Reinhard Heydrich was one of the group's first key members, and was believed to possess extraordinary abilities due to the divine nature of his soul, which was said to originate from a god's thoughts, granting him foresight and immense physical prowess. Despite his incredible potential, Heydrich had to carefully control these abilities to avoid accidentally causing harm. As the group's influence grew, they discovered the Die-Ewigkeit formula, an ancient and powerful magic incantation that enabled them to transcend their earthly limits. This formula not only enhanced their occult abilities, but tuned the Longinus Dreizehn Orden into an organization capable of godlike feats. Under Heydrich's leadership, the group eliminated weaker members, refining the organization into a select group of the most powerful and dangerous individuals. The central goal of the organization was to elevate Reinhardt to the status of Hadou God, a divine being capable of manipulating the fundamental laws of existence. To achieve this, they perform a ritual known as the Transmutation of Gold, which required the sacrifice of countless souls to manipulate life, death, and natural order. The concept of Taikyoku, the ultimate law that governs existence, was the heart of this ritual. Across many cultures, Taikyoku was seen as the driving force behind creation itself, taking a form in various religions like the Japanese Tenshi Kaibyoku. For the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, this concept was intertwined with the idea of eternal conflict, where the mortal warriors would be trapped in a perpetual cycle of war, serving Reinhardt's rule. The Transmutation of Gold ritual required the sacrifice of souls to 8 designated swastikas, each one representing a critical point in a magical procedure. The process was grueling, with members of the Orden often including themselves making ultimate sacrifices to bring about Reinhardt's ascension to godhood. The first Transmutation of Gold took place after the end of World War II, when the souls of countless soldiers were absorbed into the realm known as Valhalla. From this realm, a powerful entity known as Yen Sonikind was born, becoming the heart of the Orden's power. This ritual allowed Reinhardt's soul to transcend the boundaries of the universe itself, reaching an impossible level of power. However, what exactly makes this organization so formidable and allowed them to achieve this? Who are the members that headline this powerful group? Nearly all the members of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden wield both a sacred relic and a personal power known as a Braya. A sacred relic, or holy relic, is a mysterious object that gains its own consciousness through the immense emotions and intentions poured into it over time by countless individuals. These artifacts evolve as they absorb the feelings and energies of those who come in contact with them, resulting in each relic developing its own distinct nature. The power of the Braya, on the other hand, is a manifestation of an individual's deepest desires or wishes. For instance, if someone's strongest wish were to never feel pain again, their Braya could materialize as an ability to deflect harm or transfer damage to another target. With these concepts in mind, let's take a deeper look at the members of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden. Wilhelm Ehrenberg had a troubled and violent upbringing. Born to poverty in the aftermath of World War I, he suffered abuse at the hands of his father. His albinism made him sensitive to sunlight, causing painful burns and forcing him to live in darkness. These harsh conditions twisted his psyche, and he began exhibiting violent tendencies, eventually committing horrendous acts like cannibalism and the murder of his own sister. By 1939, Wilhelm had become a notorious serial killer, feared for his brutal methods. Violent outbursts led to his clash with a group of police officers who mistook him for someone else. The resulting altercations saw the deaths of the officers. It wasn't until he crossed paths with Wolfgang Schleiber, a young serial killer, that his life took another turn. The two fought for dominance in the criminal underworld, but their battle was interrupted by Reinhardt, who defeated both of them with ease. Wilhelm had never experienced such overwhelming force, and it made him view Reinhardt as someone with power far beyond what he had ever known. After that defeat, Wilhelm joined the Longinus Dreizehn Orden. There he learned about the Aegiskite formula and received his holy relic, the crystallized blood of Vlad the Impaler. This relic grants Wilhelm terrifying abilities, such as the power to manipulate blood, but also awaken his darkest desires. As his power grew, he sought to transform himself into an invincible, eternal monster. Wilhelm's Braya allows him to create a zone of perpetual darkness, where everything decays and dies. Within this force of death, he could drain energy from anything in the area, growing stronger in the process. He could focus his power on a specific target, draining their life force to increase his strength, speed, and regenerative abilities. While his Braya was active, Wilhelm became impenetrable to all senses, making it impossible for anyone to track him. His power was further enhanced under the light of the full moon, which empowered his blood manipulation. Wolfgang Schleiber was born to a family of sex workers. He was destined for a life of exploitation, as his parents were hoping for a girl to join their trade, and were disappointed when he was born a male. In a cruel act of desperation, his father mutilated him and robbed him of his manhood. Despite his horrific ordeal, Wolfgang possessed an innate charm that captivated clients. His popularity soared, eclipsing even that of his own mother. Enraged by his success, she subjected him to relentless abuse, culminating in the brutal loss of his eye. Yet his appeal remained undiminished, with some patrons even exploiting his missing eye for their encounters. The cumulative trauma drove Wolfgang to the brink of madness, and in a fit of rage, he murdered his parents and transformed into a twisted figure who preyed on others while masquerading as a sex worker. This dark existence continued until he crossed paths with Wilhelm. Wolfgang's Braya allows him to always be faster than his opponent. No matter how fast they move or how quickly they accelerate, his Braya will always adjust itself to make him faster. Even when they move at light speed, that won't matter. This ability applies even when he's standing still, as foes and their attacks are unable to get closer to him, sort of like Gojo's Limitless. It's basically a strange phenomena in which he's always meant to be faster, even when he doesn't move, causing you to never be able to reach him. Valeria Trifa's life began like any ordinary man, but his ability to read the hearts of others set him apart from the beginning. This strange power allowed him to peer into the deepest intentions and desires of those around him, making him both a keen observer and a troubled soul. He became a Catholic priest, not for faith, but because he saw peace and meaning in the world he couldn't fully understand. As he aged, however, he became disillusioned with the corruption within the church, and a toll his abilities took on his health. His path took a sharp turn on Christmas Eve in 1939 when he met Reinhard Heydrich and Karl Kraft. The two men's vast powers drew him in, and he eventually joined the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, becoming a part of their dark plans. At first, Trifa was disturbed by the group's descent into corruption, but he felt a deep need to prove himself, to become someone more than who he was. He soon realized how deeply he had lost his way, and left the Orden, starting an orphanage instead. However, Reinhardt found this orphanage, and when Reinhardt demanded the children's deaths, Trifa, now fully broken, gave in. He ordered Wolfgang Schleiber 10 of the children, further deepening his descent into darkness. Trifa's new path led him back to the Orden, where he fully embraced his desires to become someone else. Trifa's holy relic was Reinhardt's very body, which had been transformed into an indestructible relic during the Transmutation of Gold. This body grants him incredible power, but also at a cost. He lost his ability to read others' hearts. The body was protected by a powerful barrier, making it nearly impossible to harm him. The only way to break this defense was either by overwhelming him with a soul force stronger than the souls in Valhalla, or by using a conceptual attack capable of destroying anything in a single strike. However, Trifa discovered a third way, through the activation of his Braya. When Trifa activated his Braya, he summoned the Longinus Dreizehm Testament, Reinhardt's holy spear, which he could launch as a missile. This spear was incredibly fast, possessing infinite speed, and was accurate and powerful, but firing it temporarily left Trifa vulnerable, making him susceptible to getting harmed by others with greater power. Kei Sakurai's life began at a loss, as she was raised by older brother Kai and Beatrice after losing her parents. However, their tragic deaths led her adrift. Consumed with grief and longing for vengeance, Valeria Trifa, who had his own reasons for manipulating her, recruited her into the Orden, promising that her loved ones would be revived once Reinhardt reached Taikyoku. Over the next 10 years, Trifa trained Kai for the moment when Reinhardt would ascend, molding her into a powerful weapon. Kei's holy relic was a sword that emits intense flames capable of vaporizing water and melting through steel. When she activated her Braya, her body became pure flame, rendering her nearly impossible to strike physically. The fire allowed her to pass through any object the fire could reach, no matter how narrow, and her sword became even more dangerous, extending in length and power as she was engulfed in flames. Musashi Sakurai was a skilled swordsman from Japan, known for crafting the Wilhelmsburg Longinus, a replica of the legendary Lance of Longinus. Musashi's weapon was forged with a unique magic, making it powerful in ways no ordinary spear could. When it was discovered that Musashi was the only one capable of wielding it, he was recruited into the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, becoming the first wielder of the Wilhelmsburg Longinus. This spear was unique in the way it absorbed the abilities of anyone it killed, growing stronger with each victory. Musashi's Braya also had a deadly effect. It cursed the area around him, causing anyone in his range to slowly decay. Their bodies rotted, their hearts stopped, and their belongings deteriorated. Rei Sakurai was a granddaughter of Musashi Sakurai and the aunt of Kai and Kei Sakurai. She possessed a unique power known as a Hadou Braya, which allows her to convert the Wilhelmsburg Longinus into a powerful cannon. This cannon has the ability to fire deadly and corrosive poison over vast areas. Wait, did I say poison? I meant that the cannon has the ability to fire deadly and corrosive venom. Anna Maria Schwiegerin lived in a small, quiet German village in the mid-1700s, where life was slow and everyone knew each other's business. She was beautiful. Too beautiful. In fact, people couldn't help but talk about her. Some men were completely captivated, while women whispered about her behind her back, sometimes with envy, sometimes with suspicion. One day, Anna went to town to borrow some milk, and shortly after, a cow fell seriously ill. The villagers saw this as a sign of something darker, and wasted no time in accusing her of witchcraft. Anna was desperate, and turned to her husband for help, but instead of support, he only grew suspicious, believing that she had been unfaithful. Feeling betrayed and abandoned, she was dragged away by the villagers and thrown into a dark and cold prison. There, things got worse. The members of the village would often her, and the marks that it caused would be believed to be signs of her connection to the devil. Even the skeptics couldn't ignore the so-called proof, and her fate was sealed. Just as Anna was beginning to lose all hope, a mysterious figure appeared. It was Mercurius, disguised, and he came to her rescue. He dealt with her captors swiftly, and in return, he gave her the power of sorcery. She wiped out every single person in the village, leaving no one alive to remember what had been done to her. To keep her powers intact and avoid the inevitable effects of aging, Anna used her magic to freeze her appearance, remaining youthful for over 150 years. But while her body didn't change, the years still took a toll on her soul. By December 1939, Anna made her way to Berlin, where she crossed paths with Valeria Trifa at a local church. The two hit it off, talking about strange things like the blood of Vlad the Impaler. Their conversation was interrupted when a fierce battle broke out between two SS officers and two terrifying serial killers, Wilhelm and Wolfgang. Just as things seemed to reach a boiling point, Reinhard Heydrich and Karl Kraft stepped in, overwhelming everyone with ease. After the dust settled, Anna, Valeria found themselves detained by the Gestapo. That's when Anna recognized Karl Kraft. He was the same man who had saved her centuries ago. Curious to learn more about the power he had given her, Anna decided to join the Longinus Dreizehn Orden. Unlike many in the Orden, Anna wasn't just a fighter, she had magic on her side. One of her most powerful tools was a relic that allowed her to summon torture devices out of thin air and from deep beneath the ground. These devices were dangerous, and if destroyed, they could hurt her as well. To be safe, Anna kept her relic hidden in another dimension, where no one could get it. Her Braya, born from her hunger for vengeance, took the form of a shadow that could paralyze anyone it touches. Once someone was trapped within her shadow, they couldn't move or even breathe. Anna could control the level of paralysis, even stopping their hearts if she wished. To help capture her victims, she could morph her shadow into monstrous shapes like fangs or tentacles to ensnare them. She could even consume their souls, ensuring that they could never escape her grip. Roach Spina's real name is lost to time, overshadowed by the dark demon persona he's taken on. Spina is more of a behind-the-scenes operator. He's a strategist and master manipulator, using his sharp mind to gather intel, manage covert missions, and handle the organization's logistics. But where other members dive into the chaos of battle, Spina tends to shy away, being one of the more cautious and risk-averse members of the group. There's not much known about his past before the Orden, and he prefers to keep it that way. He didn't join the group until later on, being brought in to Valeria Trifa. Before he became a part of the Orden, Spina was a scientist. His most infamous role was overseeing the concentration camps in Warsaw during World War II, where he conducted unspeakable acts of cruelty against prisoners. After he became a member of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, Spina shifted gears. Instead of continuing his violent ways, he took on the job of managing the group's operations, handling their finances, resources, and all the little details that weren't that important to the larger, more visible tasks. Even though he's not the strongest or most combat-oriented member, his ability to control the flow of information and manage the organization's inner workings made him an invaluable asset. Riza Brenner appears to lead a serene and humble life as a nun, overseeing a church in a city. On the surface, she's the image of peace and devotion. However, beneath this quiet facade lies a painful and tragic history. Riza's origins trace back to a shadowy German program focused on selective breeding and eugenics in an attempt to create a master race. This program birthed children with incredible powers, but the cost was steep. The abilities made them unique, but also made their bodies fragile, and most of these children died prematurely. Haunted by her past, she joined the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, hoping to use her new position within the group to somehow undo the damage done by her and bring back those lost children. But her journey towards redemption is complicated by a strong, burning hatred for Reinhardt, a man who forced her to bear his child during the first Transmutation of Gold. Riza wields a relic called perilous, a mask made from the skin of the dead. Unlike most relics, it isn't a weapon designed for direct attack. Instead, it gives Riza the power to control the undead who wear it, manipulating them like puppets. She can also store these undead within the mask, calling upon them whenever she needs them. Then there's Ri Himero. Born on December 28, 1988, she plays a crucial role in the Transmutation of Gold. She resides within the same church as Riza, living under her care. Tubo Kane is essentially a puppet brought to life to do Riza's bidding. Armed with the Wilhelmberg Longinus, a relic that grants him abilities similar to others within the Orden. His body is impervious to pain and fear, making him indestructible. Ren Fuji was created as a substitute for a member of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden by Karl Kraft, also known as Mercurius. His creation was part of a larger plan to reset the world, which would involve resurrecting Reinhard Heydrich and destroying the world in what would be called the Transmutation of Gold. Ren took on a certain role and was tasked with opening 8 swastikas covered throughout the city. However, his true challenge came in facing Reinhardt, the man he was destined to oppose. Ren is a complex figure, and it's not easy to summarize his abilities, but one thing stands out: the weapon Mercurius granted him. It's a scythe-like extension that grows from Ren's right arm. This weapon is especially deadly because if Ren makes contact with anyone's neck, their head is immediately severed, resulting in instant, irreversible death. Which is how I assumed a scythe works anyways, but okay. Isaac, known as Ian Sonnekind, is the illegitimate son of Reinhard Heydrich and Riza Brenner. He was abandoned by his mother right after his birth. Isaac aged rapidly, maturing into adolescence almost instantly, which scared Riza into abandoning him. Isaac grew up without ever being acknowledged by Reinhardt, which left him with an immense sense of longing. Isaac's Braya is known as Gladschmer. It manifested as a massive, devilish castle built from the remains of the dead. The castle is so large that it spans the size of a city, and in a battle it takes the form of a towering, golden, skeletal creature capable of catastrophic destruction. Inside this ominous castle lies the Wilhelmberg Castle, the heart of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden. Isaac controls the castle's defenses, a reflection of his desperate need to be loved by his father. Beatrice Voltrude von Kurtenheisen comes from a long line of knights, and her skills with a sword were honed from a very young age. One day, she met Riza Brenner, whom Beatrice instantly connected with, feeling a kinship and calling her big sister. Together, they tracked down the location of an officer's death, only to find Wilhelm Ehrenberg and Wolfgang Schleiber in the midst of a brutal fight. Beatrice was tasked with facing Wilhelm, and even though she was outmatched in terms of power, she still stood her ground, landing a few solid hits, which earned Wilhelm's respect. Just as the battle seemed to reach its peak, Reinhard Heydrich arrived, effortlessly dispatching Wilhelm with a single punch and pushing Beatrice aside. This moment marked the beginning of a one-sided rivalry between Beatrice and Wilhelm. Beatrice's relic, Druid Walker, grants her the ability to summon and command powerful bolts of lightning. This weapon doesn't just allow her to manipulate lightning, it also enhances her speed, letting her move at incredible velocities that are impossible for the human eye to track. With this power, Beatrice can land a barrage of strikes faster than most can react, even one as swift and deadly as a lightning bolt. Her Braya, Donnertuntanz Walker, takes this even further. It transforms her entire body into pure lightning, giving her all the characteristics of electricity. In this state, she becomes the fastest among the members of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, second only to Schleiber. As she channels the power of lightning, she gains unmatched agility and strength. Her weapon becomes even more formidable, able to slice through massive structures like aircraft carriers or battleships, as demonstrated in a Cuban Missile Crisis. Gotz von Bellheim is a member whose past is shrouded in mystery. He is one of the most powerful members of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, only second to Reinhardt himself. Before taking on the name Gotz von Bellheim, he was Michael Whitman, a soldier in Nazi Germany and a close friend with another soldier during World War II. During a crucial battle to determine the final members of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, Michael and his friend faced each other as the last two contenders. Michael's victory came at the cost of his friend's life, cementing his place at the table. Michael's holy relic is his own body, specifically his fists, which hold a terrifying power to end anything they strike. This ability allows him to break through any defense and return whatever he hits to his most basic state. His Braya, stemming from his personal wish, I want to die with a single end, is an enhanced version of his relic. When activated, his arms are encased in dark armor, and instead of merely destroying what he touches, his punches can completely erase their existence, making him capable of winning any fight with a single blow. However, there's a significant limitation. His target must have a history. Even the tiniest fragment of time before his punch lands is enough. If his target has no past, his Braya will have no effect. Eleonora von Wittenberg is a fiercely loyal disciple of Reinhardt. She's a force of destruction, and her holy relic is a relic of World War II. It is a formidable railgun tank that unleashes explosive power that far exceeds nuclear weapons. This isn't an exaggeration. Her railgun can launch shells with such force that they can level entire cities, dwarfing the destructive capacity of any nuclear bomb ever conceived. Beyond this, Eleonora can summon a terrifying arsenal from rifles and grenades to anti-aircraft guns, making her versatile. Her Braya takes two forms. The first form is a vast, ever-expanding inferno that she controls, giving her a limitless range to hunt down her enemies. But her Braya's true power lies in its second form. It transports both her and her target into the heart of her cannon, a realm of endless, consuming flames. Reinhardt was born with a unique, almost divine ability. He could see glimpses of the future, a power that was both blessed and cursed. It was like he was living a pre-recorded film, a constant, monotonous loop that stifled his very existence. Drawn to the chaos and power of the Nazi regime, Reinhardt joined the army. There he met Karl, a kindred spirit who shared his extraordinary gift. Together they helped shape the Longinus Dreizehn Orden. Reinhardt was a cold and calculating strategist, a man who craved excitement and challenge. Yet, despite his power, he felt a profound emptiness, a void that no victory could fulfill. He yearned for something more, something beyond the confines of destiny. He sought to break free from the chains of fate, to become the architect of others' destiny. Reinhardt's connection to Mercurius granted him extraordinary power, like massively enhanced strength. He possessed a form of immortality tied to the existence of Mercurius himself. This power, however, came at a cost. He was forever haunted by visions of the future. Reinhardt wields the legendary Longinus Testament, a divine spear capable of obliterating worlds. This ancient weapon, forged by a divine blacksmith, is said to be the very lance that pierced Christ. Its power is immense, able to incinerate foes with a single touch and unleash a destructive golden light. It moves with unmatched speed, striking with absolute precision and transcending dimensions. Those who are struck with the lance are marked, and their souls are destined to serve Reinhardt in his eternal army. Reinhardt's Braya, a golden castle, is the nexus of this power. It allows him to resurrect and command his legion, utilizing their abilities to reshape the world according to his will. However, after becoming a Hadou God, not only could he manipulate reality, but he also imposed his law upon the universe. With this power, he elevates his entire legion to godlike status, transforming them into powerful beings who are almost at his level. Now we turn to the enigmatic mastermind of the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, Karl Kraft, or otherwise known as Mercurius, a Hadou God of immense power. Mercurius imposed his will upon the universe, creating an endless time loop and multiverse of infinite possibilities. His original desire remained a mystery, though it was implied that he sought omniscience. Before the events of the series, Mercurius accurately predicted the assassination attempt on high-ranking Nazi officers like Adolf Hitler, leading to him getting detained by the Gestapo. His actions caught the attention of Reinhard Heydrich, who would become his close ally. Together, they would manipulate the Longinus Dreizehn Orden, seizing control from Heinrich Himmler. His calm and manipulative demeanor often infuriates those around him. Mercurius' law trapped the world in an endless cycle of rebirth and death. Even after his demise, the law could activate, rewinding time itself. Mercurius possessed the power to consume all stars, condensing them into a black hole that could erase the multiverse. Alternatively, he could create a great attractor, a gravitational singularity that would consume everything in its path. Anyways, let's be glad that the Nazis were actually defeated in real life. And also be glad that the events of this series didn't come to pass, because I'd hate to exist in a world where Reinhard Heydrich reigns supreme.